Spring break is right around the corner, but all eyes are on the ball as basketball heads to Vegas and USC football kicks off practice today.
We've got you covered on everything from Juju Smith-Schuster to Julian Jacobs.
Sports Scene starts right now.
It's difficult. So I'm not going to talk about the NCAA tournament. We're focused on Wednesday. We're excited to go to Las Vegas and compete.
Welcome to the luxurious Annenberg Media Center. I'm Jackson Safon.
And I'm Josh Cohen. The basketball regular season has come to a close. And as you heard Coach Enfield say, the team is now focused on the conference tournament.
That's right, Josh. While the Trojans have big dance aspirations, they have a big game right in front of them on Wednesday. USC got matched up with rival UCLA in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament, a team they dominated both times they played them in the regular season. So, Josh, USC beat down UCLA twice already this season, both here at the Galen Center and at Pauley Pavilion. What's going to be different this third time around, and how do they beat them so handily the first time?
You have to bully them in the paint, and that's exactly what they did in that first encounter at Pauley Pavilion. Chimezie Metu was a monster on the glass and also had over 20 points. Tony Parker and company are very difficult to handle for UCLA, but USC managed when they went to Pauley. Same thing when they were here at the Galen Center.
Yeah, UCLA has a lot of good individual players, but they haven't been able to seem to come together as a team, really, whereas USC plays a much better team game, a lot more assists, a lot better working everyone involved in the offense. So USC is going to have to continue to do that if they want to take down UCLA. But it is always tough to beat a team 3 times in one season, and if the Trojans do make it to Thursday, they would play the Utah Utes for the second time this season. Josh, tell me about Utah.
Led by Wooden Award finalist Jakob Poeltl, Utah is the 2 seed in the Pac-12 tourney. The Utes were one of just 2 teams that managed to beat the Trojans at the Galen Center this season. Just a year ago, this team made it to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tourney, where they lost to Duke.
Yeah, they're obviously on the backs, like you said, Jakob Poeltl, Wooden Award finalist. He just won Pac-12 Conference Player of the Year. But it's also not just him. The recent win streak, they got 7 in a row, 12 of their last 14, has come at the hands of improved guard play. Brandon Taylor, senior point guard, he struggled early in the season, hit a couple clutch threes against Arizona, and has really come on lately.
Absolutely. Speaking of the madness, ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi has USC dropping down to a 10 seed after their recent loss to Oregon, which moves them closer and closer to the dreaded bubble.
Not the place you want to be, and the Trojans really shouldn't have a problem getting into the big dance, but being upset by UCLA tomorrow really would put them in jeopardy of doing so.
And as Coach Enfield said, USC cannot get caught looking ahead. The matchup between the Trojans and the Bruins is at 6:10 tomorrow on the Pac-12 Network.
The USC Trojans take on rival UCLA in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament tomorrow night. I'm joined by Paolo Uggetti to break down the keys for USC going into the postseason. Thanks for joining me, Paolo.
Thanks for having me.
So a couple keys we've discussed for USC as they head into the postseason are their interior presence, keeping their pace up to where they want it to be as a fast run-and-gun team, and just improve their offensive efficiency. Ever since Darian Clark went out, he's back now, but when he was out, USC's offense slipped, their defense slipped. They just went on a bad streak for them. Let's start, though, with their inside presence. What's important about that?
Right, so I think the biggest thing is USC has struggled with in the last stretch of the season is their defense inside. They're being dominated by big man like Jakob Poeltl, who really had a field day with them. So as you see, they're 94th in the nation in defensive efficiency, which means they're allowing 99.8 points per 100 possessions. Not an ideal number. Then you go to see the opponent's field goal percentage. It's also 94th in the nation. If the Trojans want to make a run in the Pac-12 tournament and then into March Madness, that is not a number you want to have.
Yeah, they say defense wins championships, and 94th in the country. If the top 65 teams make it to March Madness, 94th in the country for defense is not where you want to be.
Exactly. And the other thing is they're allowing a lot of two-pointers, points via two-pointers, 40 points per game, which means that they're not protecting. The two-pointers usually come in the paint, which means they're not really protecting that space very well. That's mostly because they don't really have a big man that's like kind of a dominating force, which we've talked about in the past, but we'll see how they can. That's definitely one thing they'll have to improve on in the postseason.
Chimezie Metu is going to need to step up if the USC Trojans are going to make a run in the Pac-12 tournament, or especially if they want to make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
But what about pace?
Pace is a big part of this team. It really defines their team. It's the way Andy Enfield wants to play. It's just fast. When the season started, when they were off to their big run, they were playing really fast, getting alley-oops, a bunch of fast break points, really utilizing their athleticism and their skills. After about January 20, when they played Oregon and when they went to Oregon and struggled in that game, their pace has really slowed down because teams are starting to figure them out. So you see 72.1 possessions per 40 minutes. That's 47th in the country. Back at the beginning of the season, they were in the top 25 of pace. So they were
up around 80 per game.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see the big drop-off has really hurt their game because they're being forced to slow down and really set up the offense, which does not bode well for their skills.
And one of the team's things they've been doing is trying to zone them with a 2-3 or a 1-3-1 full court press to try to take them out of their rhythm offensively. USC has some dynamic guards in Julian Jacobs and Jordan McLaughlin who can beat people off the dribble. So in a man defense, USC's offense has been rolling. But when teams zone them, they haven't been able to figure out how to break that zone and get to the next level against tougher defenses.
Right, and you see Julian Jacobs, every time he gets the ball, he wants to push it. He wants to push it because if they get out on the break, especially when Shemezi Metu is on the floor and Benny Borat can stretch out the floor, that's when they're at their best.
Fast breaks, it's what this offense thrives on. It's when they're running and when they're at their peak, they're in the fast break. But ever since their late January road trip up to Oregon, their offense hasn't been where they want it to be. So what really happened in that road trip?
We're talking about 3 things to watch for. This is probably the biggest thing to watch for. They need to get back on their rhythm offensively if they want to, like you said, make a run into the postseason. Before pre-January 20, they were hitting 41% of their shots.
I mean, that's Warriors-esque.
Exactly.
Right there.
After that trip to Oregon, they started dropping. Shots weren't falling. And we said, the pace is important, but if you can run all you want, but if you're not hitting shots, it's not going to matter. USC really used the three-point shot as their bread and butter in the beginning of the season. They were hitting shots. Guys were getting open. They were stretching the floor. It was really a fluid offense. And, their offensive efficiency was 113 points per 100 possessions. And then it started dropping, as you saw when they came back from that Oregon trip. So for USC to really kind of get back into the rhythm and really have a fluid offense again and really make a run, they need to fix that up and start making those shots.
Yeah, that's been a sort of a theme for Coach Enfield and some of the players, like Caton Reinhardt said after the Oregon game on Saturday. Their excuse for losing is that they're just not making shots. And while that may be true, they need to find ways to win when they're not hitting all their shots, when they're not playing at that super elite level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's going to be those tough games that, March Madness, games slow down, games get really tough. Every possession counts. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they can start hitting these big shots.
And the Trojans should be able to take care of business tomorrow, whether they hit those shots or not against UCLA. But they'll need their electric backcourt and wings to be strong if they want to make a run deep in the tournament. And you know what, Paolo? When you watch these guys on the court in the Galen Center, they've been dominating there all season. But sometimes, just sometimes, you think you can do what they do. And I got the chance to find out whether I can when I caught up with Pac-12 first-teamer Julian Jacobs and took him on in a casual game of horse.
One for a shot?
Yeah, sure.
Home court advantage. I'll give you the first one.
Okay. First shot from the S on the Trojans.
Oh boy, this seems like one he's practicing.
First try.
It's all good. So you guys, first 20-win season.
Yeah.
Since way too long ago for USC basketball. What's it been like bringing this program from the ashes, you could say? I mean, obviously, when you came here, weren't so good. Now.
Right. I definitely say that's a huge part of why I came to SC, just because I wanted to be a part of a program that I could potentially, help contribute to turning around. So for me, it's been great to see it all come to fruition, and obviously the fans and just the community around SC basketball has definitely got a lot stronger over the past couple of years. And then Enfield's done a good job of bringing in certain recruits and the coaching staff that he brought in. So to me, I'm just really lucky and fortunate to have been a part of it. So. Half-court shot. That's off too.
I'm gonna knock this down first try. Don't you worry.
I'll catch his air ball.
Get us off the schneid with the make here.
No way. No way. First try. Psych.
Ice cold.
This is a competition at the end of the day.
Oh, it is.
To answer.
That's close.
Let's see. We're gonna do some trick shots.
Okay.
So from behind the backboard, I got this one. There we go.
Oh yeah. Too easy.
There we go.
Too easy. Right here?
Yep. No way. That's clutch.
But the Pac-12 tournament's a neutral.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
what difference does that make?
Home for me, but
Home for you, but neutral for everybody else.
Yeah,
And the other
yeah.
team, they don't have their home crowd, you don't have your home crowd.
Right.
What difference does that make? You've obviously been 2 years now.
Yeah. I think whether it's neutral or not, either way, you're not at your home facility. So it sort of is like playing an away game.
Wow, you really gave him a run for his money there.
I mean, I tried. I got hot early, but towards the end, he started using his athleticism, and I just couldn't keep up.
That half-court shot, though, very impressive. First try.
First try, but it was all luck. Props to Julian for a great win. But for the entire video and the entire interview, go to uscannenbergmedia.com. Paolo, the Pac-12 tournament, it starts tomorrow. What is your prediction for how USC can fare in the tournament?
Well, USC ended up as a 7 seed, which was not ideal. I mean, they had a chance to really be 5, even 4, and get that first round bye. Did not happen. But But now they're going to be pegged along UCLA, which is UCLA is a talented team, but USC has already beaten them twice, so they should beat them again. And I'm going to say they will beat them. It'll be a close game, but I think they'll edge it out. And then I think that Utah presents too tough of a matchup for USC. So Jacob Pertl is going to have his day again, and I think USC will get eliminated there. But with March Madness, it doesn't end there. They'll probably make the tournament, and that'll be interesting to see how far they can go there.
Yeah, anything can happen when you're a long team that can shoot, when you can make shots. If you can make shots like they haven't been recently, like we detailed.
You have the dynamic backcourt, like you mentioned.
Always important in March.
Never know what can happen.
But the first step for USC is to take on UCLA, which they do tomorrow at 6:10 on Pac-12 Network.
I'm now joined on the couch by USC track star Eric Sloan. Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Eric is a junior, long jump and triple jump star on the track team. He's from Stockton, California. And let's just say the man to my right has been dominating thus far. You go up to Seattle indoors and you absolutely kill it. You're placing first in the long jump and the triple jump. What were the keys to success?
Basically just trying to stay focused out there and just focusing on the little aspects of the event, such as like technique and trying to keep my speed through the board and just focus on little things like that in order to prepare for nationals.
What kind of confidence did that give you going into Birmingham, of course? Big weekend coming up.
It definitely gave me a lot of confidence because I messed up a little bit in my jumps and I still had some pretty good distances. So just knowing that I can jump that far off of like some messed up jumps definitely gives me confidence that I can have bigger jumps as long as I focus and more on the things that I messed up on.
You're incredible at the long jump and the triple jump. Do you have a preference?
I like triple jump more, yeah.
You clearly have it's an unassailable lead too. I like a foot there I saw you.
Yeah.
You're leading, you have the record. Speaking of records, not to dwell on the less fun part of the sport, but you had an injury a few years back, patellar tendon injury, and came back and proceeded to set all kinds of records. How'd you do it?
Just a lot of hard work with my old coach. Just trying to work on my technique, and he had me switch legs because I couldn't get like the extension that I needed off of my other leg. So just like focusing a lot on technique and strength and working on my speed and just hitting on the more technical things because at first I was just kind of just like jumping just off of like raw talent or like raw strength and stuff like that. So trying to get more technically like advanced and stuff in the event definitely helped out a lot.
Now you were in Annenberg, right here in Annenberg, and now you're a psych major.
Yeah.
So we're going off the track for a second. How's that been?
It's good. I definitely did enjoy Annenberg, but I just had like a talk with my mom and stuff because she's a psychologist. So, and just talking about it, and I kind of like she did an experiment, and I helped her out with it, like she ran an experiment on me basically, and it just seemed fun, and we talked about it, and I decided that I kind of wanted to be a psychologist as well.
Nice. Yeah. Fantastic. And so you obviously switched over to psych, but why USC in general? I know you transferred here. Why was it SC?
It's just always been my dream school.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I was a little kid. Just seeing like, well, first I played football, so seeing Reggie Bush and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely wanted to go here because of that. And then my grandpa actually went here as well, and my dad always wanted to go here. So USC's been in our family for a long time. So since I got the chance or the opportunity to go here, I just decided to take it. Plus, it's close to my home too. So.
Yeah. Now, finally, you're going to Birmingham Friday, big time. What are going to be the keys to victory there? What kind of pressure and opportunity comes with a big tournament like that?
It's definitely a lot of pressure. I feel like everybody's like out to try to beat me since I'm coming in as number one. But I feel like just as long as I stay focused and try to just focus on like the little things, like I said, and I feel like that will really help a lot.
Fantastic. This is the MPSF West Region's Track Athlete of the Year. Fantastic. Eric, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. We're now going to send it over to Angel for a social media update of the week.
Thanks, Josh. Today the Trojans kick off spring practice and begin to work towards a successful 2016 campaign. Coaches and players alike have hopped on the Twitter sphere and taken to social media to let the college football world know that they are ready to start working towards a prosperous 2016 season. USC secondary coach Ron Bradford, who's awesome on social media, might I add, was sure to let the Twitter world know that spring ball was back with this tweet. Coach Bradford was sure to include this gem of a meme saying, quote, "Trojan fans be like, is it spring ball o'clock yet? Well, it's spring ball o'clock yet, and Martin Lawrence never looked so good, and Bradford, whose Twitter handle is Lockdown, hopes his defensive backs will do just that to opposing wide receiver cores in 2016. One of Coach Bradford's top DBs this upcoming season will be sophomore Iman Marshall. He also chimed in on spring ball on Twitter. He took to Twitter with this bit of motivation saying, quote, "They say some men are created equal, but some work harder in the preseason." Marshall, who was a standout defender for the men of Troy last season as a freshman All-American, should be expected to be that same shutdown figure for the Trojans secondary this upcoming season. Some former Trojans were also sure to voice their support for the team starting off spring ball workouts. Redskins running back and former USC tailback Silas Redd sent out this tweet of support to his alma mater. He's obviously excited for spring practice to get going. The Trojans entered 2016 with a world of expectations and some question marks. But from what we've seen, this team can obviously tweet the tweet. But can they be that team to beat in the upcoming college football season? Only time will tell.
Spring practice is set to kick off, and this is Clay Helton's first full season as head coach. This time around is going to be very different from last, so here's everything you need to know about your 2016 Trojans. Let's start things off with the backbone of any team, the coaches. During the offseason, Clay Helton hired an entirely new coaching staff, and the fans are anxious to see how they do. 7 new coaches for the O-line, D-line, quarterbacks, defensive backs, special teams, and running backs are now in the fold. Only receivers coach and new offensive coordinator T. Martin and a former running back turned linebackers coach Johnny Nansen returned from last season's staff. Another big change for the Trojans is the open quarterback position. With Cody Kessler leaving after his senior season, Max Brown and Sam Darnold will battle it out for the top spot. Brown seems to have an edge over Darnold after being Kessler's backup for the past 2 years. Although young, sophomore Sam Darnold shows a lot of promise and looks to be fierce competition for Brown. Darnold has yet to take a snap of college football, but his competitiveness brings a positive spirit to the offense. It's too early to determine who will win this battle or how long it will even go on for, but for now, it'll be an interesting duel between the two talents. Over to the O-line, the Trojans are likely to have one of the top offensive lines in the country. Returners Zach Banner and Vianney Talamebao fill up the right side, and Damian Mama and Chad Wheeler are on the left. The center position is relatively new for Toa Lobendon, who did get some playing time after senior Max Turk went down with an ACL injury. But that was short-lived after he went down with an ACL injury of his own in the game against Utah. And just in case more depth is needed on the O-line, Nico Fala, Chris Brown, and Khalil Rogers all have experience from last year. Rounding out the offense are 13 wide receivers, led by Juju Smith-Schuster, Darius Rogers, and Stephen Mitchell. Brown will have no shortage of options as he finally gets his chance to play under center. Headed by Justin Davis, followed by Ronald Jones, and then Dominique Davis, the running backs continue to make plays in Helton's emphasized new run game. While the offense is set for success, the defense is a weak spot. The D-line has promising young talent, but their youth could pose a problem without any returning veterans to lead the pack. Noah Jefferson, Rasheem Green, and Kenny Bigelow are in a position to step in and make an impact. Owale Betaku also shows promise for an early enrollee that could see some playing time on the defense as a freshman. These guys will be desperately needed for this defense to thrive once fall arrives. And no team is complete without special teams. The Trojans have lost their starting punter, kicker, and holder for the season, so the kicking game will be the one to watch. After a fairly disappointing season in special teams, Matt Boromeister and Michael Brown will compete for the top spot as kicker, while Chris Tilby will be asked to step it up as punter. The position of returner is still looking strong, even though Adoree Jackson will not participate in spring practice due to his own Olympic pursuits. This gives players like Justin Davis and Juju Smith-Schuster the opportunity for more special teams playing time in the fall. There are a lot of changes for the Trojans this season, so spring practice is the first time we will get to see them play out. One thing is for sure though, football is back.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium. I'm Hannah Wing reporting on the Dodger Town Classic. USC and UCLA were joined by Oklahoma and Mississippi State this weekend to compete in the Dodger Town College Baseball Classic. The crosstown matchup between USC and UCLA heated up on Sunday at Chavez Ravine. The Trojan Marching Band, Song Girls, and Spirit Squad all came to support their team. Eager fans filled the seats and were excited to be watching the rivalry game at the well-known venue.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Definitely a ton of fun to come out and see them here, yeah.
I like because how USC is playing at LA because it's easier for us to drive there.
It's really great to see them here playing in the Giant Stadium.
Especially against UCLA. I think that's awesome because it's like a rival and there's so many people here.
Yeah.
Trenton. Fight on, USC!
The rivalry game went a lengthy 14 innings. This is the longest game played between the Bruins and the Trojans, who had played to 13 innings twice before. On this night, the Trojans fell short in the end and dropped the Sunday finale 3-5.
I thought it was a great game for college baseball. Great setting, obviously, with Dodger Stadium. And, 14 innings, I think the people got their money's worth.
USC took the lead 3-0 after the first 2 innings, but UCLA caught up in the fourth to tie things up. The score stayed 3-3 through the 4th inning until the 14th without a single run. The Bruins scored 2 runs in the top of the 14th, and the Trojans were unable to drive in the 2 runners they had on base at the end of the game. In total, USC left 13 runners stranded. This has been a recurring problem for the team throughout the season, but designated hitter David Oppenheim is confident that they will bounce back.
We have a team with a lot of guys who love the game, have love for each other, so we'll be back on track.
That's a wrap for the Dodger Town Classic. Be sure to tune in and watch USC take on TCU in Fort Worth this weekend. I'm Hannah Wing reporting from Dodger Stadium.
Welcome back to our Ask an Athlete segment. We are here with Lawrence Verboven, freshman tennis star. Man, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here we go. And we're on. What do you miss most about Belgium?
My family and friends.
Growing up, you wanted to be like?
Roger Federer.
Best movie ever?
Shooter.
Most interesting teammate?
That must be Max de Vroom, the Dutch guy.
Phone call or text message?
Text message.
Batman or Superman?
Superman.
One word teammates use to describe you?
Lost.
Coolest thing about your coach?
Players coach and motivated.
If I had a superpower, it would be?
Let me say it disappears sometimes.
Favorite home-cooked meal?
French fries.
If I wasn't playing tennis, I would be?
A soccer player.
Best part about being a USC athlete?
Being a family.
Favorite home-cooked meal?
French fries.
That's all the time we got. Lawrence, thanks for joining us. The being such a good sport. And thank you guys for joining us on our Ask an Athlete segment. From Mark Stadium with Sports Scene, I'm Randall Newsom.
USC Spring Sports are starting up as Trojan Athletics had a busy but successful weekend. It's time to light the torch. The USC women's tennis team had a big weekend of competition, propelling them to a record of 5-4 overall and a 2-0 start in Pac-12 play. The team defeated both number 41 Washington 5-2 on Friday and number 47 Washington State 5-1 on Saturday. There were a few rain delays Saturday, but the weather didn't stop the women of Troy. USC junior Zoe Katz had a big comeback win, nudging the Trojans to a 3-1 lead, followed by a victory by Westby on court 2, helping USC to clinch the victory. The women of Troy will play at Stanford this Friday and then get a rematch with UC Berkeley on Saturday. The women's beach volleyball team also had a bittersweet weekend as they opened their season in Pepperdine. The women of Troy were ranked number 1 headed into the weekend, and while they did pick up 3 wins over top 10 teams, including rival UCLA, they also suffered a loss at the hands of then number 2 Pepperdine. After the weekend, the women of Troy swapped spots in the rankings with the Lady Waves, as USC dropped to number 2 in the nation. Looking ahead, the women of Troy will host Arizona State, Florida State, and Loyola Marymount at home this Thursday and Friday. The women's lacrosse team also had a victorious weekend, defeating Michigan 13-4 on Friday and Vermont 18-7 on Saturday. These 2 big wins improved the Trojans' record to 4-0 for the first time in program history. Junior attacker Michaela Michael was the women of Troy's standout player, scoring 5 goals against the Wolverines, helping her reach the 100 career goal benchmark. On the defensive side, sophomore goalie Gussie Johns helped to lead the women of Troy by producing 7 saves and only allowing 4 goals in the win. Now, with 2 more wins under their belt, the team is looking to carry over their momentum and keep up their aggressive offensive efforts against more top-ranked teams. From the courts to the fields, the Trojans had a successful weekend as spring sports continue. Back to you guys.
Well, Jackson, we know the Trojans starting 5 very well, but in honor of March Madness, we also came up with a starting 5 of our own, featuring the best USC athlete names.
Starting at the point guard position, you got Lars Nupar, center fielder, freshman for the USC baseball team. I mean, with a name like that, you got to be running point. On the wings, you got Alice Pizza Segola from the volleyball team, Justin Times of the track squad, and in the paint, we got Chimezi Metu, obviously at USC basketball,
sure,
as well as Yufi Kwanzaa. Great name from USC football. Which one stands out to you, though?
These are all fantastic names, but I'm going to go with Lars Nupar, my guy. And part of it is because of his future walk-up song, right, when he steps up to the plate.
Respect.
But Lars Nupar is a fantastic name. He's a fantastic player. Phenomenal all the way around.
He's come out of nowhere this season. My guy, though, Justin Times. Of all the sports for a guy whose name is Justin Times to play, track is the most perfect sport he could play. I mean, it's amazing. But shout out to Alice Pizza Segola, Chimezi Metu, and Yufi Kwanzaa as well. All sorts of good names up in here. All the ones we missed as well. Juju Smith-Schuster, shout out to you.
Alice, a sports scene legend. And you know what? That's all we have for the show today. And that's all we have for 2 weeks.
It's sad, man. The Sports Scene team is taking a spring break, but the news never stops. So follow us on Twitter at SportsSceneUSC, like us on Facebook, and check out the new website, uscannenbergmedia.com. We'll see you in a couple weeks.